I got headbutted above my eye around the middle of the fight. It opened up, and I had to go and have surgery on that. I had to sew it up. Conor Benn and Hearn ran away with the story of a broken jaw. You know, there's no broken jaw here. We are strong. Our bones are dense.
What have you been doing the last 48 hours, and how's Junior going now?
Junior went into hospital straight after, so we were in the ambulance, the sirens, the horns are beeping, chaos. My son Junior is very proud. He's very proud. His face looks like a blown up football, almost twice the size. And he'll never let you see that because he's proud.
Chris Eubank Jr. has fired back at Conor Benn following recent remarks, firmly denying claims made by promoter Hearn that he suffered a broken jaw and required hospital treatment. On the other hand, Conor Benn believes he did enough to win the fight, saying it was close, but he edged it. He criticized the judges' scorecards as outrageous, especially the 116-112 result, which he found hard to understand. Looking ahead to a possible rematch, Benn admitted his opponent was tougher than expected, but said he would push for a stoppage, noting he had hurt him several times during the bout. Confident in his chances, Benn said there's no doubt he would win the rematch.
You think you won the fight?
I do think I nicked the fight. If I wouldn't have moaned it going either way. You know, but the scorecards were outrageous. The scorecards, I'm sitting there going 116, 112.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
So how does the rematch go? You finish or decision?
He's a lot tougher than I thought, but I will be gunning for the stoppage as I always do. I had him hurt a number of times in there. I'll just make sure I follow up.
You'll win the rematch.
No doubt.
However, Chris Eubank Sr. revealed that his son, Chris Eubank Jr., was taken straight to the hospital after the fight. He described the chaotic scene in the ambulance, with sirens blaring and horns sounding. Eubank Sr. said Jr. is a very proud man and would never show the extent of his injuries, but his face was badly swollen, almost twice its normal size, like a blown-up football.
What have you been doing the last 48 hours, and how's Junior going now?
Junior went into hospital straight after, so we were in the ambulance, the sirens, the horns are beeping, chaos. My son Junior is very proud. He's very proud. His face looks like a blown up football, almost twice the size. And he'll never let you see that because he's proud.
Furthermore, Chris Eubank Sr. described an emotional moment when his son arrived at the hospital around 2 a.m. Seeing Chris Eubank Jr. lying motionless on the bed with his legs bent awkwardly, he broke down in tears. He couldn't tell if his son was awake until he got closer and heard him softly respond, assuring him he was all right.
He came into the hospital probably 2 o'clock in the morning. And when I looked at him, I did break down. He was on the bed, and his legs were obtusely bent, and he was like this. And I couldn't see whether he was actually awake. And as I walked closer, and I said, "You okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm okay, I'm okay."
However, Chris Eubank Jr. addressed the rumors surrounding his condition after the fight, explaining that going 12 rounds naturally comes with injuries. He revealed he was headbutted above the eye during the middle of the bout, which caused a cut that required stitches. He confirmed that he underwent a minor surgical procedure to close the wound, which is a routine part of recovery in boxing at this level.
I got headbutted above my eye around the middle of the fight. It opened up, and I had to go and have surgery on that. I had to sew it up.
He firmly denied claims made by Conor Benn and Hearn that he suffered a broken jaw, calling the story false and exaggerated. Eubank Jr. emphasized that his bones are strong and that no such injury occurred. He explained that post-fight hospital visits are standard to ensure a fighter's safety, and despite the rumors, he's feeling good and recovering well.
Conor Benn and Hearn ran away with the story of a broken jaw. You know, there's no broken jaw here. We are strong. Our bones are dense. You know, when you're in a fight like that, you have to go to hospital. You have to get tested and looked after. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling grateful.
Chris Eubank Jr. further said he felt calm and content as the judges read the scorecards, believing he had clearly won the fight. While he understood that boxing decisions can sometimes be wrong, he was at peace with whatever the outcome was. He added that even if his name wasn't called, he remained proud of his performance and confident that the public knew who truly deserved the win.
I was, even when they were reading out the scores before they picked the winner, I was at peace with whatever happened, with whatever came. I knew I had won the fight, but I know in boxing, decisions can be wrong. But I thought to myself, if they don't call out my name, I am still proud of what I did in that ring. And the people know who won. So proud and at peace.
Moreover, Chris Eubank Sr. described the fight as extraordinary, praising his son's performance, particularly from round 6 to round 12, when he stood toe-to-toe with his opponent. While he was impressed, Eubank Sr. admitted he didn't want his son to have to endure such a dangerous fight again. He emphasized that his son didn't realize how close he was to danger, nor did he care about the risks. Eubank Sr. made it clear that when the fight began, it had nothing to do with money, a point that was proven over and over during the bout.
The fight was extraordinary, and I never thought I would see this type of performance from my son. From round 6 to round 12, he stayed in the pocket. In the pocket is where you're standing toe-to-toe. I don't want my son to have to go through that again. He doesn't know that his life was in the balance. Neither does he care. Everyone would have thought, oh, this is all about money. When that fight began, that was nothing to do with money, and it kept on proving that point over and over and over until the decision.
Eubank Sr. expressed immense pride in both his son and Conor Benn, stating that the fight's significance would resonate forever, something money could never buy. He also acknowledged the way Benn lost, stating that Benn's words showed a man with true character and integrity, a code that Eubank Sr. deeply respected.
You know, I'm so proud of that boy of mine, and I'm so proud of Conor Benn, and it will echo into eternity. That's what money can't buy. And the way Conor lost, I mean, listen to his words. You're listening to a man who has got code.
However, Conor Benn expressed a strong desire to avenge his loss, hinting at a possible rematch in September, potentially at 147 pounds. He admitted the defeat was hard to swallow, feeling as though he had let a lot of people down, even though he doesn't believe he truly lost. Benn explained that stepping up to 160 wasn't about the money. He genuinely thought he could win. Despite the outcome, he showed gratitude for the support he received and appreciated being part of what he called a great event.
I guess what is next? His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh spoke about a rematch in September, 147, obviously dropping down as an option. For yourself, what is next, if you can say?
It's a hard one because I'd love to avenge the loss. You know, no doubt there'll be a few tears shed. I feel like a lot of people down. I feel like let a lot of people down there. So it's a hard one to swallow, man. I ain't lost, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Nah, of course, no, look.
You know, I know I stepped up to 160, I ain't here for no paycheck. I thought I could beat him.
No.
So for me, it's hard.
I understand that. Well, look, I appreciate you giving me the time. Appreciate you putting on a great show. You know, for the first Ring Magazine event, I couldn't ask for a better fight. So appreciate you giving me the time, and appreciate all the show and the build-up and all the help you've put throughout camp. Appreciate it. Thank you.
On the other hand, Chris Eubank Sr. reflected on his son's future, saying the most wonderful part is still to come once he eventually hangs up his gloves. He shared that if Chris Eubank Jr. were to retire now, he would already have a richness that money can't buy, a lasting legacy, and the honor of being seen as a prince for life. Eubank Sr. said his son had won the hearts of the people, and most importantly, he had won his own.
What's so wonderful for his future is that it's going to come when he puts the gloves down. Which brings me to this point, I must tell you this. If he were to retire right now, he would have a richness that money can't buy. He would have the position of prince for life. You won the hearts of the people, Junior. You won my heart, Rastafari.
Moreover, Eddie Hearn praised the first fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn as one of the greatest ever seen in the UK, highlighting how evenly matched it was despite the size difference. He explained that while Conor Benn entered the ring around 165 pounds, Eubank Jr. likely rehydrated to 176 or 177, giving him a significant weight advantage. Despite that, Benn stood his ground, which Hearn believed proved the fight was handled correctly in terms of matchmaking and weight.
You saw a very evenly matched fight where a big 160 pounder made or nearly made his championship weight. He rehydrated okay. Conor weighed in at 165 pounds, I think, in the ring. Eubank was probably 176, 177. He probably had 10 or 11 pound on him, and he stood up to it. And I think we got it absolutely right. I think they served you up. One of the greatest fights we've ever seen in this country.
However, Hearn voiced concern about the toll such a physically demanding fight could take on Benn. He stressed that while fans may be eager for a rematch, these kinds of brutal bouts can shorten a fighter's career. With Benn still having a long future ahead, Hearn said they need to be cautious moving forward. He confirmed that the terms for a rematch have already been agreed upon under the same structure as the initial contract, but careful thought is required before proceeding.
But for me, the danger was not for Chris Eubank Jr. The danger was for Conor Benn. And that's why we got to think very carefully about the rematch. Because I don't want to see him in too many fights like that. You know, it's all very well us sitting there and going, wow, what a fight, let's do it again. They're the kind of fights that will shorten your career. And he's got such a long career ahead of him. So, you know, the terms are already agreed for the rematch with you know, to move forward. And it's the same as the first contract in that respect. So I think we got it spot on with the numbers.
Moreover, Oscar De La Hoya cautioned that an immediate rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn could seriously damage their careers due to the extreme intensity of their first fight. He stressed that such brutal matchups shouldn't be rushed, as the physical toll could be lasting. While both fighters must manage their own paths, he emphasized his priority is to protect his fighters and plan wisely. De La Hoya also highlighted the broader opportunities in boxing, noting that Ryan Garcia is well positioned to face top names at 147 or 154 pounds, including a possible bout with Virgil Ortiz, making it an exciting time for the sport.
A rematch right away will probably end their career. These rematches with these types of intense fights taking place, like Conor and Eubank,
I'm trying to pull him.
a rematch right away will probably end their career. You know, it's that intense. It's that. So look, they have their own careers to deal with. I deal with my fighters. I take care of my fighters. We have to, you know, figure out a plan here. But look, Ryan Garcia is in position to fight anybody at 147, 154. He can even fight Virgil Ortiz if we want. So there's a lot of great fights for a lot of great fighters. It's exciting times for boxing.
On the other hand, Nigel Benn said he fully supports an immediate rematch, believing it's the right move. He advised against Conor dropping back down to 147, suggesting he should stay at 160, focus on winning the rematch, and then consider returning to the lower weight class afterward.
The rematch is immediately what you want to see.
Yeah, I think go for the rematch. Yeah, no point in going back down to 147. Stay at 160, get the rematch, win the rematch.
Chris Eubank Jr. spoke optimistically about the future, saying that boxing is a beautiful sport where anything is possible and the opportunities are endless. Regarding a rematch with Conor Benn, he said if it's meant to happen, it will happen, but if not, he's still content as there are plenty of other exciting fights and achievements ahead for him in the sport.
Watch this space. Boxing is a very beautiful industry where anything can happen. The possibilities are endless. If the rematch is meant to be, it will be. And if not, guess what? There's plenty of other amazing fights to be had and great things for me to achieve in the sport, so I'm happy either way.
Ben Shalom emphasized that the current focus is on celebrating the moment, highlighting how much effort and hardship it took for Chris Eubank Jr. to reach this point. He said the win means everything right now, and that discussions about the future can wait at least a week. While speculation has already begun, Shalom made it clear that no decisions have been made yet. He praised Eubank as a superstar and the leading figure in British boxing today.
Look, I think there's nothing that we're thinking about right now other than celebrating this moment. It's been such a long time in the making. I think, as I said, we've all been through so much, Eubank Jr in particular, and so to come out the other side victorious is all we're thinking about right now. We'll sit down in a week and start to look at the future and make announcements then. Of course, you know, that's what everyone's talking about, but no decisions will be made yet. And he's a superstar. He's a star in British boxing right now. He is the people's champion.
Shalom also called Eubank Jr. the people's champion, commending him for standing firm against the boxing establishment, including promoters and the British Boxing Board. He admired Eubank's consistency, self-belief, and integrity from a young age, describing his performance as legendary. For now, Shalom believes it's important that Eubank enjoys this moment and reflects on his journey before thinking about what's next.
He's the one that went up against the establishment. He's the one that went up against the promoters, the British board. He was the one that always stood true on his word. And you know, you saw in the clips of when he was telling his dad he wanted to be a boxer. That's the Chris that I know. That's the Chris that still exists. He perseveres. He stands for what he believes in. He won't let anyone tell him no, and he needs to be celebrated, I hope, because what he did on Saturday night was legendary. It really was. And yeah, he needs this moment now to take it in, to celebrate, to take stock of what he's just done, and yeah, and then we'll decide what's next.
Meanwhile, Eubank Jr.'s trainer acknowledged that a rematch is definitely on the table, revealing that discussions about it were already happening before the first bout took place. Although nothing is finalized or confirmed yet, he admitted the possibility is very much alive and the situation could evolve soon.
You expect from being in his team that the rematch will be next?
It's possible. They already talked about it. They talked more about that before they did this fight. So it's possible. I can't say for sure, but it's possible.
However, the fight was intense as Michael Buffer shared his thoughts, stating that Conor Benn has proven he's a serious contender and a powerful presence in the welterweight division. He praised the fight for its excitement and energy, suggesting that Benn should now target a clash with Jaron Boots Ennis at 147 pounds. Buffer expressed strong belief in Benn's promising future, especially after such a standout performance.
I thought it was very exciting. Conor Benn definitely in the welterweight division is going to be a force to reckon with. I'd love to see him fight Boots. It'd be a great welterweight fight, or maybe Teofimo move up to 47, which is, you know, obviously his natural weight for Conor and Chris Eubank. The future's bright for both guys. It was such a great fight.
Furthermore, Buffer voiced his disagreement with the judge's decision, pointing out that Benn clearly controlled the early rounds, particularly the first 3 to 5. While acknowledging that he wasn't officially judging the bout, he felt the final verdict didn't reflect the actual events in the ring. Buffer also highlighted the significant size difference between the fighters, commending Benn for showing the heart and determination of a champion despite being at a physical disadvantage.
I could see it being scored that way. I might have had it closer. I didn't write my scores down. Very good first 4 or 5 rounds for Conor, and then size does make a difference, as they say. You could see that happening, especially the last 2-3 rounds.
Adam Smith praised the fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn as an extraordinary battle, filled with pride, heart, and determination. He noted that neither fighter took a backward step, and while the contest may not have been technically elite, it was a thrilling and memorable affair that captivated fans. Smith emphasized that the fight reminded everyone why they love boxing, describing it as a night to remember. He chose to hold off on discussing the scorecards initially, instead focusing on the courage and effort both fighters demonstrated in the ring.
I don't want to talk about the scores at the minute. I just want to say what an extraordinary fight that was between two guys who did not take a backward step, did not want to lose. There was so much pride on the line. I thought it was an incredible battle. Yes, maybe not technically elite world class, but it was just a fight to remember and a night that the fans loved, and we've got to see it again. I thought Eubank won. I didn't think it was that wide.
Ultimately, Smith felt that Eubank deserved the win, though he acknowledged many of the rounds were close. He praised Conor Benn for his speed and moments of success during the fight, but noted that Eubank grew stronger in the later rounds, using his jab effectively and applying pressure. At one point, Smith even thought Benn might win, but Eubank's finish ultimately sealed the result in his eyes. Despite the outcome, Smith stressed that both fighters should be celebrated for their performances, and he added that a rematch is something everyone eagerly wants to see.
I thought Conor had his moments. I thought he boxed really well at times. I think his speed was really troubling Chris. But I thought Chris, you know, forced it out, really. He got his jab going. He pushed Conor back towards the end. He was really getting stronger, which I thought maybe the other way around. I thought maybe Conor would come on late. At one point, I thought Conor Benn was going to win the fight, but I thought Chris just closed well, and I thought the right guy got the decision. And to be honest, it didn't really matter. It was just a fantastic fight, and both of them deserve to be, covered in glory in the next few days, and we all want to see it again.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about the rematch? Share your thoughts in the comments section, and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other videos on the screen right now.